All right, well, good morning, everybody. The time is 10:38 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it is May 14th. Welcome to another update of Great Lakes weather. I don't have a camera, so you're just gonna have to bear with this. But again, big day coming up tomorrow across portions of Wisconsin, Illinois, and portions of southwestern Michigan. You can see right here enhanced risk for severe thunderstorms across the northern tier or the northern portion of the Great Lakes region, and then extending into the lower part of the Great Lakes as well. Tornado, wind, and hail, all severe hazards on the table. The primary threat this time actually does, excuse me, appear to be hail at this time, but there is the potential also for some strong tornadoes. Right now, the SBC has put out mainly just a 5% risk. I do think that's likely going to increase within the next outlook that they put out, probably a 10% hatch region across portions of Wisconsin and southwestern Michigan, and then maybe even portions of northeastern Illinois as well. As potential for strong tornadoes is definitely going to be present, and we'll take a look at some models that kind of give the idea of that as well. Your wind potential, again, also still present with these across Wisconsin, southwest Michigan, northeast Illinois, northern Indiana, and then there's your hail threat with the hatch region indicating potential for hail greater than 2 inches in diameter across that region. So a lot of hazards at play with this. The CSU MLP model is, again, giving a little bit of an idea of, or kind of a different scenario of where the focus point for tornadoes is going to be. And again, you can see with this output that they've put here, with southern Wisconsin and eastern Wisconsin are kind of the primary places that are currently being indicated by the models as the tornado threat. You can see that also is extending to southwestern Michigan. And I do think the potential for tornadoes is still a little elevated across portions of southwestern Michigan because as those supercells that fire in the Illinois region push east, if they overwhelm the cap, there will be a potential for those storms to draw off some pretty strong helicity in the atmosphere, and then also quite a bit of instability that will build across Michigan in the overnight hours. So again, that's going to be more of an evening and nocturnal type threat. The daylight threat is going to be centered around Wisconsin region, with those storms initiating roughly around 4 p.m., 5 p.m. On Thursday. So that's kind of the focus point that we're watching carefully. I'm here at Wisconsin Dells, and we'll likely be chasing this during that time Thursday afternoon for a few hours because that potential for tornadoes is definitely there. So you're definitely going to have a way to receive alerts during this time frame, probably after 4 p.m. and then into around 10 p.m. if you're in Wisconsin, and then through the overnight hours if you're in Michigan, because you're going to see quite a few storms during this time frame. The models are being very bullish with regards to severe weather potential. We're going to take a look at some of the models real quick. First of all, let's take a look at the upper level winds. Again, what we have in the atmosphere is an upper level trough. It's making its way across the plains region now. I'm going to bring some severe weather there today. As we get into tomorrow, you can see that you have this push of upper level winds out of the southwest that are going to just surge into portions of Wisconsin during the morning hours. And that will do quite a bit to ramp up the shear that exists in the atmosphere, and then also with the building instability that we'll have with regards to the higher moisture and the amount of sunlight that we will have during the day on Thursday. These storms will have a primed environment for severe weather across portions of Wisconsin. And then the one issue we'll be dealing with in Illinois, northern Indiana, is the capping inversion. We'll have to see if storms fire there. If storms do fire in that capped environment out in Illinois and Indiana, then those storms will definitely take off because we'll have Cape values around 4,000, which is double the amount you really need for severe storms. And then as it progresses eastward, it'll build off some helicity that exists across portions of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, and that will fuel tornado potential across that region. So I'm using the term tornado a lot because I do think the tornadoes are very much on the table during the day tomorrow. So it's going to be something to watch very carefully as we go through that time frame. Let's take a look at how different models are putting this out. So as you progress forward, again, Wednesday, a few pop-up showers with thunderstorms across Michigan, northern Wisconsin, maybe even other places as well, but going to be relatively isolated in nature, not severe. Here comes that warm front that's associated with the low pressure system building to the west, and then as that lifts to the north, we'll have a nice broad warm sector that fires off in this region. And what you're going to see is as that starts to build, you're going to start to see the instability start to build up. There's quite a bit of instability building across portions of southern Wisconsin, quite a bit of Illinois as well. Look at this. Cape value is around 5,000 across portions of central Illinois included as well. So decent Cape values present with that. Progressing forward, we'll go back to the loop image here. See that cape starting to build there, and it kind of progresses to the northeast. And then the storms fire off right in this environment right here across portions of central, southern Wisconsin as well. Progressing forward, it moves into portions of Michigan with cape values of 3,000 to 4,000 also. Pretty decent environment. You can see that photograph got a nice curvature across portions of Kalamazoo, St. Joseph County region. If you get a sounding there as these storms make their way into the area closer to around 9 or 10 p.m., you can see the environment is primed across portions of southwestern Michigan. Cape values of 3,200, supercell composite value of 33. Decent directional shear, good curvature in your photograph there. And the one thing that's going to be the fail mode here that could happen, I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it could happen, is that capping inversion, if storms can't overwhelm the cap. But I do think it's pretty much a done deal. There's going to be severe storms in Wisconsin on Thursday, so that's pretty much kind of a guarantee at this point. All right, let's actually take a look at the real composite reflectivity, though. Progressing it forward. There is your primed up environment as those supercells fire across portions of Wisconsin at about 6 p.m. And look, the HRRR has been hinting at a pretty decent supercell as of the recent run that will have a nice environment of storm multiplicity values of close to 400 even showing here. Cape values of 2,200, supercell composite of 36. So high cape, high shear environment present with the cells that fire across Wisconsin. And then you'll start to see a line begin to form along with this, along that cold front, and you start to see more supercells fire in a potentially capped environment. But again, if storms can fire in Indiana, they will likely have severe potential as well. Michigan will also have that severe potential. And these storms will continue to progress eastward and then begin to dissipate and leave the Great Lakes region and head off into Canada around 1 to 2 a.m. So busy afternoon and evening Thursday. Michigan Storm Chasers will be live in Michigan. Before they're live, I will be live out here in Wisconsin chasing these storms. And again, got some open field areas that you can definitely watch these storms in. So it'll be a nice place to watch them. And then we'll also keep tabs on those storms in Michigan. Michigan Storm Chasers will be out there quite a bit as well. The HRRR model, again, still there's your instability building, progressing off to the east. The NAM model is kind of another one to compare to. The NAM model likes to usually play these off a little bit more intensely. And as a matter of fact, interestingly enough, the NAM is actually downplaying this just a little bit. Southeast Wisconsin is still showing that primed up target area, target location for supercells. If you get a sounding out ahead of this, you can see there's your TOR sounding. You got the curvature in the photograph, not really as robust as the HRRR is playing it out to be, but you still got your cape values of 3,800. Still a little bit of a cap kind of right in there, kind of where it splits off and dries up, but still good directional shear present. SRH is a little bit lower on the NAM, but as it progresses forward, you can see that those storms will actually reinvigorate after they cross the lake into Michigan, carrying supercell potential. Get a sounding out ahead of this. There is your TOR sounding, and actually the significant tornado parameters are actually pretty high on the NAM across southwestern Michigan. So your supercell composite value is close to 40, very good SRH, good cape. Really, there's not much missing from the setup for severe weather based on what these model outputs are placing. So that's why there's a cause for some pretty decent concern with these storms. And that's why I'm throwing out a video about it, because it's a little bit, it's looking like a pretty decent day. So again, let's take a look at the RAP. RAP model is another good one to take comparison of. RAP model also probably follows suit with this as well. Let me follow this a little bit forward for just a second. Going forward here. Kind of hard to find everything that you need right away. Okay, and there's your line starting to form around 5 p.m. again, showing kind of a similar time frame, roughly 5 p.m. or later. There's your TOR sounding. Again, not really showing as a robust setup. You still do have that directional shear present, but the fact that the HRRR is uptrending this over the other models is pretty interesting to me. And then you got that line forming across portions of Michigan, progresses in the northeast as well. And it still shows an increasingly, I guess, storm, I don't really know what the term to use, but an increasingly intense environment for storms across portions of southwestern Michigan later on, shortly after dark is looking like what you're going to see across portions of southwest Michigan. RFS, again, also showing this as kind of a decent setup for storms. As we get into the afternoon hours on Thursday, what we have is you have that cold front starting to develop. You have that low starting to push off to the northeast. You have that upper level wind starting to initiate some shear, and then those supercells fire again around the 5 p.m. time frame across portions of Wisconsin, 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Michigan time. So you can see those cells will fire right over the Wisconsin Dells area, and then progress east-northeast at a slow enough pace to keep up with, and then they will continue to progress and weaken as they approach the lake shore. Not unless you are in the Michigan area. Those storms, they may weaken and go a little elevated as they approach the lake because of the cold temperatures. But as you get to the surface or you get to Michigan, they will start to reattach to the surface likely, and the tornado potential will again once increase with higher SRH values expected as well. So 200. So that's again threshold for tornadoes across portions of southwest Michigan. So I'm throwing this out there. I know I'm not really in my usual area of Michigan, but it's going to be a pretty big day tomorrow afternoon, probably one of the biggest days we've had this year across the Great Lakes region. So make sure to stay updated. I'll be live out here around 4:35 p.m. in the Wisconsin Dells area following these storms as they progress east-northeast through the evening hours. And then Michigan Storm Chasers will keep tabs on those ones that make their way into Michigan later on after dark. So you can subscribe, you can stay tuned with my channel, and also check out Michigan Storm Chasers. They will be live on this as well. Hopefully this video is helpful to you. Thanks for watching all, and we'll see you all later.